Good morning to you, Romeo Busiko. Yes, indeed, this is Bugolovia, the home of Kampala Central MP, Honorable Muhammad Nsereko. But we know that the dates were already set. Now we're just waiting for those dates to go, for the Ugandans to go to the polls and decide who their next MPs and their next local government chairpersons and mayors will be. And here is a discussion I'm going to be having with Honorable Muhammad Nsereko to let me know him being a stakeholder because he's a candidate, he's already sitting MP, and how does this really affect the roadmap? I'm talking about their campaign time and also generally the general roadmap. How ready are they as stakeholders in this election that we are all waiting for 2021? Good morning to you, Honorable.
Good morning to you all viewers, and thank you very much for being live on NTV this morning. And I would like to thank the management of NTV for having given me this opportunity this morning to address you on such a pertinent matter. And the question before me, as has been put, is the question of preparedness. I can say I believe every candidate is prepared. We are running in the same time frame. But of course, there are challenges here and there. But the issue of preparation, of course, everyone in the country is aware that campaigns start with the desire of someone to be a candidate or to be part of the electorate, display of the register that came in late, of course with the effects of COVID, cleaning up of the register and update plus compilation was not the best, but either way, this is what we are having before us, and we all have to accept that we are in hard times, and these are the times that we must work within the ambits of the time and the challenges. But all said and done, we all have to agree that there must be elections. And when there must be elections, every one of us accepted to enter nominations knowing that we didn't even have a definite date. Now that we have a presumptive date, aware that the Electoral Commission has been coming and saying, yes, the dates will be presumptive. Now we have a presumptive date. These dates are not cast in stone, and they can be changed. We realize that with the dates of nomination, and I think the dates for elections can also be changed depending on the circumstances that are there during that time or during the times of elections. Now, as regards the presidential election date not being stated, I think that's within the mandate of the Electoral Commission. But also the Electoral Commission must be aware that the date must be told to the nation either immediately after nomination, because the law is not, so clear on that. I think Section 21, subsection 1 and 2 gives the wide mandate to the Electoral Commission, that's in the Presidential Elections Act, to base itself, as it derives its powers from Article 61, I think, of the Constitution, and states clearly that it will determine the manner in which we campaign as candidates, and it will also set the dates. Now, the challenge therein is that for presidential candidates, we have 146 districts, and the law presumes, the framers of the law presumed earlier on that every candidate should be given opportunity and chance to campaign in every district of this country. Now, with 146 districts, the question is, what are the days that are meant to be? Because what we have and what has been the practice is that under the law, the elections of members of parliament and presidential candidates were to be fixed on the same date. Now, if you look at the date fixed for elections of members of parliament, the presumptive date as per the roadmap, which I believe will change, we have 84 days or 85, around about more than slightly below 90 days. Now, if we have 90 days, does that mean presidential candidates and their agents can only campaign for less than 146 days when we have 146 districts? Now, that can be challenged as flouting the electoral process, and that should not be a problem hinged on the candidates. It should be a problem for the Electoral Commission. And that creates grounds for challenging an election. That's one of the strong grounds. Inability for candidates to go to every district and canvass for support.
Honorable, before even they go to those discussions, let's also look at the conditions set by Electoral Commission. Like, for example, the 70 people in the conditions we are in, we've seen in Kenya people campaigning, we've seen in Tanzania people going with their campaigns, also in Burundi. Yes, despite the fact that it's COVID-19, but here, setting people, giving them only 70, the number being 70, is that even tenable in Uganda?
Well, I would like to say this is twofold. Every country sets its own rules. Our rules, we agreed that there is COVID-19 in Uganda, just like in every other country. And we stated that we shall disperse people as much as possible. The issue is whether it's still now tenable, because I'll go back to the SOPs that the president talked about as we are opening markets and other things. Listen, if people can go into markets like Nakasero, Wino, and go to shopping, alleys like Chikubo, and you see those masses of people, gathering, and people are gathering in funerals, and to mention but a few. Then the question would be, why not open up for massive campaigns and bigger meetings? Well, now the Electoral Commission is the regulator now. Even if I'm not comfortable, it's a process that I signed up to join when I accepted nomination. But the issue as to whether 70 people will be tenable, we can all say if that is the case, then let it be the case for everyone. Let it not be selective. But I don't think it's tenable in the cities where we have huge populations. So you're expecting me to have 70 people from the 1 million people I represent. So how does that happen? And that makes the campaign rigorous for me compared to those that have fewer people. So it's a little bit discriminative, and it's not tenable in some places. In some areas it's possible, in other areas it's not. So that law presumes an organized community, where you have to go and maybe it's a police barracks and they organize 70 people and you meet those 70 people and you rely, and you base on their trust that you have with them, that they relay your message. Otherwise, that would work in societies that are much organized. So I would like to say it's not the most comfortable, but it's something we can work with.
And the fact that we are also still dealing with COVID-19, where you have curfew time, but many of you politicians, when you go to rallies, even sometimes go past 7 p.m. And then people have to be home by 9, those who are driving. But let's also talk about you, the politicians. When you go for these rallies, yes, you may be able to beat the number, which is 70. But let's talk about security and the politicians. Now in the enforcement of guidelines for COVID-19, but also making sure that we don't have these confrontations that we've been seeing. How is that really possible?
Well, we urge the Uganda police to keep restraint and the security forces to know that this is an election period and that it's not new and that everyone was made aware. But I also urge my fellow politicians that, yes, it might not be the best, but if you have to go to the field, go early, because even within the law, it's very clear that you cannot campaign beyond the prescribed time, which is 6 o'clock. So I can only say that there is some prescribed time, and the prescribed time is known, because people have to go back before it's very dark. The issue will come, the issue of curfew, where I believe it must be lifted, will come during the compilation of results and the actual polling dates, because that will involve the movement of electoral materials themselves. I don't think the Electoral Commission officers are exempted from curfew or any other people. So now the lacuna is that one of the candidates is the regulator of security parameters, which security parameters also have to affect officials, the referees or the umpires who are the Electoral Commission. Now that is dangerous in itself. So we urge that curfew be lifted during this time of elections. I don't think it's relevant anymore. I believe we stay together during the day. I don't know whether there is any science and logic behind the maintenance of this curfew, Because if I ask myself, why do we still have curfew? Is it scientific or it's a matter of security? So if it's a matter of security, then let them come and explain to the nation what has been going on or what they are trying to curb. As a shadow minister for security, I don't think curfew is tenable anymore. It's not desirable, and it will affect the electoral process. And it's not about campaigning alone. It's about the movement of persons and agents and their agents during the hours of the night. So you can see that some people may be intercepted as they are coming from radios and TVs. So if we have said there are no campaign rallies, but there are TV programs, isn't there undue and unfair advantage that can be undertaken by those that have control over the security apparatus to stifle the campaigns of their opponents? So that is something that the Electoral Commission has to look at very carefully, and we as stakeholders are warning them that unless you look at this, then it will create unfair ground for everyone that is participating in these elections. Therefore, we urge the Electoral Commission that you as the umpire should come up and say, for all those that are nominated and their appointed agents, curfew should not affect them. Otherwise, then it's the Electoral Commission now that is at test. Because I envisage a moment where counting is concluded. We finish voting at about 6. Counting is concluded, declaration of results, then movement of ballot boxes and tally sheets to the tally centers and counting centers, and agents themselves will become difficult. And in the far-to-reach areas, listen, there is a curfew on borders and cyclists.
Sure.
I do not envisage a situation where all our agents have cars. I would, you would imagine a candidate in far-to-reach areas, even in these areas, if borders and motorcyclists or cyclists have curfew at 6, and I have to move my agents beyond 6.
Okay.
How will they move those long kilometers and long distances?
It's something that has to be looked into still.
It doesn't have to. It must be lifted. And mainly curfew for cyclists must be lifted.
Let me also speak to Muhammad Nsereko, the candidate for Kampala Central.
Yes.
You looking at the dynamics of politics in Kampala. One would say now there is a wave of NUP. You also you are an independent.
Yeah.
NUP has a candidate, but also NRM has a candidate, and also FDC. Looking at this, you looking at a tough campaign.
I've been in such a campaign before. I had it in 2016, and I won comfortably. The people of Kampala actually know that, listen, we are sending people to represent our views and ideologies. We are not here to vote for people who belong to which party, which color, or which religion. They can be aware that, yes, Muhammad Nsereko is a Muslim, but he represents us. Not that everyone that votes for me must be a Muslim. Equally, there are those that do not belong to my tribe, and I respect their tribes. But they are voting for Muhammad Nsereko from the tribe of the Baganda, but who must represent the views, opinions, and aspirations of all the people in Kampala. Equally, I know my people are split in party lines. Some belong to the NUP, others are Democratic Party, others are FDC, and others are NRM. But all those people know that our opinions, our views, and our best representative in Kampala will be Muhammad Nsereko. Not because he belongs to our parties, or belongs to our religions, or belongs to our cultures, but he embodies our aims and aspirations. He stands out for us. He represents us, because here it's performance. The national legislature is like a national team. You send the best of the best. You do not send the best from your various cocoons, various religions, various parties, but you send the best of those people to embody your aims and aspirations. Now, the people of Kampala have various problems, but they also have various challenges. Now, who is best suited to represent them in Parliament? And the answer I can say, it's only me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Muhammad Nsereko, the MP for Kampala Central, for sharing with us that the information you've shared with us here on Morning at NTV, and of course your insights. I think the Electoral Commission, the security agencies, and whoever is a stakeholder in an election has been watching and will take note. This is Morning at NTV. Stephen Mbide, Fefeswe Chibuga, taking you back to studio for Romeo Busiku for much more conversations here on NTV. Keep it here and have a blessed weekend.
Thank you very much, my brother Stephen Mbide. He was talking to Muhammad Nsereko right there. Before I let you go, I'd like to give you the answer to our radio today. And we did ask, if you have me, you want to share me. If you share me, you haven't gotten me. What am I? And the answer to the question is a secret. The answer is a secret. And at this opportune moment, I'd like to send this message courtesy of the Nation Media Group, which is saying that religious leaders should continue to disseminate information around sexual reproductive health. Why? Simply because more adolescents are getting pregnant during this period of COVID-19 pandemic. So we do urge religious leaders to continue spreading messages around sexual reproductive health. The number of teenage girls, being forced into early marriages is around 115 million. And if we do not do anything to arrest that situation, by 2030, the number of young girls slipping into marriages will be 150 million young girls forced into marriages. My name is Romeo Busiku. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of this show. To the boys and girls, kings and queens who have their birthdays today, you're sharing it with Mr. Pele, the 8-year-old. Yes, the 8-year-old footballer, Mr. Pele, the legend. So please enjoy very, very carefully, because we are dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic that is wreaking havoc. Let's meet next week on Monday and enjoy another info-packed program of Morning at NTV. Go out there and make it happen. Good morning.